I know some of you are skeptical when I mention the liberal mind. A lot of people say, are you sure that liberals have minds? The answer is yes, they do. They're very small, they're very narrow, and they're like Elena Kagan's copy of the Constitution. They don't get a lot of use, but they're there. It is important for us as mainstream Americans to realize that Obama, Reid, and Pelosi have done something that no mainstream politician has been able to do. They have awakened the sleeping giant of mainstream America. We have been asleep for too long. We have put up for too much, and it's time to put a stop to that. Many years ago, liberals hit on a strategy called the Long March strategy. They realized that we were too smart to fall for sudden change. So over time, they established a strategy of gradualism. You demand 100% of something, and then of course we say, no, that's too much. And then somebody reaches across the aisle, I'm not naming any names, but John McCain, I hope you're listening, and they give them 30%, and then the liberals come back next year and get another 30%, next year and get another 30%. They have sneaked in under the radar. America is finally awake. We see that our backs are against the wall. That's how 20% of the population has come to dominate the politics in this country. 20% of the population is liberal. Most of us are mainstream Americans. We have sat back for too long. That's going to change. Let's talk just for a moment about the tactics that liberals use, because this is really nasty when you think about it. One of the tactics is intimidation. Mainstream Americans are peacemakers. We try to find peace with our neighbors. We try to get along with people. We like harmony. Remember when Obama told his followers, if people disagree with you, get in their face? Do you remember that? That's what liberals do. Liberals use intimidation. They use talking over people. They use name calling, and they use that. And for too many years, what have we done when they get intimidating? We compromise, we back down, and they advance another step. Folks, we have got to understand that tactic. How many of you believe that the Tea Party is racist? I didn't hear much there. How many of you believe that the Tea Party is racist? Yes or no? Well, then why are they calling us racist? It's because they call everybody racist. Anybody who disagrees with them gets called names. One of the things that we've got to do differently as mainstream Americans is we have got to get off the defensive and stop letting the left define the terms of debate. We have got to define the terms of debate. One area that starts is with this question of race. I'm sick and tired of them pulling the race card. When you look at 50 years of the history of liberalism in the black community, what good have they done for the black community? 50 years ago, the out-of-wedlock birth rate was 15% in the black community. It is now over 70%. Who benefits from that? Not the black community. Liberals benefit from that. The message to black children is you don't have anything to hope for. The message to young black girls is all you need is a baby daddy, a welfare check, and a bus to take you to the polls on election day, and we'll forget about you for the next 2 years. We need to take that fight to the liberals, hold them accountable for what they have done, and tell the God's honest truth about what they have done. We also need to stop taking liberals at their word. Liberals don't use words like we do. When we use a word, we intend to convey meaning. When liberals use a word, they use it like a stick. They use it for effect. I could not believe when, how many of you think it's a good idea, by the way, for the imam to put up a monument to the 9/11 hijackers on Ground Zero? Anybody think that's a good idea? Do you know what the liberals told us? We can't do anything about it because it's on private property. Please, people, when was the last time you heard a liberal defend private property? Are you telling me that if liberals didn't want that monument put up, that they wouldn't be able to find a bug or a plant or a snail darter and say this is an environmental wetland? Find a mud puddle there and say it's a wetland. They do that to taxpayers all the time. Why are they not doing that? The answer is that they like the middle finger to America that mosque represents. They are perfectly satisfied with that. They couldn't resist the urge to preach to us then. They said, you know what, you guys might be suffering from Islamophobia. You might need to work on your religious tolerance. Folks, liberals are talking to us about religious tolerance. Ask the people in the community of King about how tolerant liberals are when they see a Christian symbol anywhere in public. They see a cross or a Christian flag, and they recoil like a vampire at a sunrise service. Seriously, it's, and you know how in the movies the vampires always have that little assistant, the little nerdy guy who doesn't get to be a vampire, but he runs around and does the vampire's bidding? Well, that's the ACLU in this case. The liberals go to the ACLU and they say, make them take it down. But they're such hypocrites. There was a time very recently when liberals were perfectly content to allow a Christian symbol in public property. You know when that was? It was when some so-called artist urinated in a jar and put a crucifix in there. We paid for that with our tax money. Did you know that? And what did they say to us when we complained and said that's blasphemous, it's offensive, and I don't want my tax money spent that way? They said, you're trying to censor art. Well, I've got a suggestion for the folks in King. Put a plaque on that flagpole. Call it something like Flag Study number 6 in 3 colors. Call it a work of art. And challenge the ACLU to get into censoring artwork. If push comes to shove, offer to sprinkle a little urine on the bottom of the flagpole and say, will that make it okay? It certainly made the cross okay. Folks, I don't mean to sound drastic here, but we have got to start calling them on their hypocrisy. Over 200 years ago, something very important happened at Concord Bridge, Massachusetts. Many of us read about it in the history books. A small band of mainstream citizens, a small band of patriots and Minutemen, they were not professional politicians, they were not professional military, but they met the mightiest military in the world at Concord Bridge and they routed them. This is our Concord Bridge moment in our generation. It will not be bullets, it will be ballots. It will not be the technology of the battlefield, it'll be the technology of politics. And folks, that means get out the vote. It means monitoring the polls because they got away with a lot of voter fraud in 2008. They're emboldened and they're going to be at it again. We cannot get complacent. But this is our Concord Bridge moment. With God's help, we will take our country back. Thank you.